Iterations.
Yeah. Iteration. Part 2.
Yeah. And I remember even spelling your last name wrong.
I don't remember that,
Yeah.
but thanks for reminding me.
You were chill
Noted.
about it. You were so cool about it.
Yeah, it's a long last name.
Carpanzano. Yeah. Well, that being said, Gianna, it's so good to see you. I know we caught up. It feels like a long time ago. It probably is a long time ago. It's probably at least 3 to 4 months since I saw you. It was around the time when you were between locations, and you were still prepping the new location. And I guess what I've noticed, I'll share what I've noticed, and maybe what other people have noticed. I have noticed you spending more time on yourself, as far as, and this is what you choose to share on social media, as far as who you spend your time with, what you're eating. You seem to be on a health kick, and then being disciplined about a gym routine, as well as like making personal time for yourself, whether that was Friday Swim Club when it was around. I'm sure you're doing many other things, but that's what I've noticed, and I'm sure other people have noticed too. And which begs the question, how do you do it all? Because as one entrepreneur to another, it's just like, it's not easy. It's hard to turn the on switch off sometimes.
That's been really hard for me to turn that switch off and to like get out of work mode to make time for
right. And I wonder if we just operate in a gray area, if it ever is off, and there's no right or wrong. Like, it's what you're okay with, and when it starts to not be okay, I think the people in your immediate circle, the people that you care about the most, will tell you about it.
I feel like I turn it off, and then 5 minutes later, I'll get a notification from work from a client. And so it's right back on. That's the gray area. That's as off as I get.
Yeah.
But like when I'm at the gym, or I don't know, I'll even like turn the like sleep mode on, or the gym mode, so I don't get notifications. Yeah. And as soon as I scroll up and like open my phone to like change the song or something, I'll see a client text me, and I'm like, oh, oops, it'll take 1 second.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's hard to turn off. But I don't know, for me, it's been like a constant practice of just like making sure that the two are separated, personal life and work life specifically. As far as making time, that's hard. Getting on a good routine has been helpful for me, which was something that I always struggled with, and using my Google Calendar.
Yeah. Live and die by the calendar.
Live and die by the calendar. The calendar is my boss.
Yeah.
And then the hard thing with that, for me at least, with clients, is like this week specifically. Last Friday, I had 2 clients cancel. They got sick, so I had to move them to today. So my schedule is kind of being rearranged a lot. Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's nice to have that flexibility, but sometimes being so flexible, it kind of takes over your schedule then. You're too scheduled in a way, or you can be. And so on your off days, what if you actually like blocked it off on your calendar instead of leaving it open?
How do I do that?
This is a Gianna day.
And then I got to just like leave it.
That's up to you. But yes, like that's the intention is the inability to move a client to that space. And it doesn't have to be the entire day, but it's, a certain amount of hours. Because I'm also not the type of person to sit on the beach all day either.
Yeah.
So, but carving out that time, because I'm probably guilty of just leaving things open, right? And there's always something to do. But if you don't intentionally carve out time for whatever you want to carve out time for, it becomes lower on the priority list, unfortunately.
I think too, like what helps me stick to that schedule with like just separating out time for myself is remembering how I feel when I don't.
That's huge for me.
That's been my biggest thing.
Huge for me.
Yeah. So I'm like, do I really need to like move this client?
Can you remember a time before calendars? Or how many times did you drop the ball? Because I've dropped the ball. Before you decided to take a more intentional or disciplined approach to a schedule?
I remember the first instance that comes to mind is when I would double book clients,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have 2 clients show up.
Yeah.
And that would happen. That's happened like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, I really need to like get a good booking system and like really pay attention to my calendar and like put things in the calendar right away.
Right.
And just have good habits with that, with time management.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember just dropping the ball twice on the same person. And, you know, in relation to this podcast, it's like you show up and they show up, but when they show up, they were expecting to just hit record and not me finishing this setup. Mm-hmm. And so after he let me go, and when I say let go, it's just like, is this wake up call of like, hey, we can't work together because you're not on your A game, and I need someone on my A game. And this was someone that at that time was almost gonna lend me his space because I couldn't find an office space. Mm-hmm. And he was such a pleasure to work with, and someone I never thought I'd be working with. And to have that slip through your fingers left such an impression. And it's that feeling that I go back to every time I'm trying to, like, let's say, plan something. It's just like, get there early, you know, finish setting up when they arrive. Like, it's okay if they're late, things happen, but you should hold yourself to a higher standard.
Be prepared so you're not that person that's falling short.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's interesting how deep of an impact that has made on me and us. You know.
Yeah. For me, it was having girls that worked for me and just being able to set a good example and showing up for them and knowing that they're like relying on me. I'm like, I have to really step it up. Yeah. Yeah.
Michael Jordan said it in his Last Dance documentary of, you know, when people were coming at him for being such a tyrant, he shared that he wasn't willing to do anything he asked other people to do. Mm-hmm. And so it is leading by example.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was this on? What did he share this on?
I think 10 episode documentary, the Bulls documentary, The Last Dance.
Yes.
It's on Netflix.
Yes.
One of the greatest documentaries ever.
Yes. I'm reading the Steve Jobs biography.
Okay.
I keep calling it a documentary. It's a book.
Yeah. I'm sure it's better than the 2 docs that were made for TV or movie. Yeah. So, I mean, how's everything else? By now, you're up and running with the second location.
So we're up and running.
Or for like the next location.
The next location, yeah. So we moved. We're up and running. We've been up since early December last year. So
I saw you that long ago, so it's been like over 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I saw you before that.
Yeah, I know you were DIYing a lot of it.
I DIY'd
I just saw
some
black
of
walls.
it.
I didn't see. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you came in.
I did.
And it was just concrete floors.
Yeah.
Okay, I had somebody come in and do the floors. But my girlfriend and I like painted. So I was like, just get it open. Like there was a moment where I was like, I don't even know if I want to move and open another spot and keep doing lashes.
Wow, you were at that point.
I was at that point.
Okay, actually, I'm thirsty now. Let's before we dive into this hole, go ahead and I'll take whatever you don't want.
Ooh, have you had any of these?
I've had all of them, and you really can't go wrong. There's I've had phases of like, ooh, I'm feeling rosé today. I'm feeling limeade today. I'm feeling the hemp today. I'm feling lavender today.
The hemp? Which one? Oh, this is the hemp.
This is the Blue Dream. It's got some hemp in it. It's got the turmeric in here. And if we had like a glass, like a cocktail, like a martini glass, they're also pretty. And they all share this vision, but Jack, one of the founders, really wanted to create an alternative social beverage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what I need because I was drinking, what is this, coconut vanilla pina coladas all weekend. So
okay.
We're gonna go with a rosé. Can you open those for me?
Yeah. Can't break a nail.
Thank you. Not live. Wait, are you gonna have one?
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, I'll have a limeade.
Oh, these are so pretty too. I
Here,
love
why don't
this.
you try this one first?
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, I'll try this. And I love, what is it, lemongrass? Yes.
Yeah. It's subtle too.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so wait, tell me more.
It's just a great, and you wouldn't think, but they're local. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, they're
Where do
local.
they?
And you can find them everywhere. You can find them now in like the big box stores like Mariano's and Jewel. They used to be in Dom's when Dom's was around.
Oh, yeah, that's where I've seen them.
But they're in Beatrix as well. But then all the local spots, like coffee shops and
Yeah,
stuff.
are they in Left Coast or
Brewery?
Heritage Coffee?
Probably.
I think.
I've seen them at Hex Coffee.
Okay, I think I've seen them too at
Yeah,
Heritage. Right by
they
me.
used to be known as Community Kombucha, so KOM Community. And then cease and desist. So now
Wait.
they're Remember for real memories, better rituals.
Do you have their old logo?
It's I believe it's the same logo. This
Is it the
this
same one?
butterfly where it looks like there are two people kissing, but it's a butterfly. But the new catchphrase, like the RMBR, real memories, better rituals, kind of fits them perfectly.
Remember.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love it. I love kombucha.
So and they've also like partnered with experiences. So imagine like a private yoga session and kombucha offerings during those sessions. Or we're manifesting a live podcast episode one day. So I'm sure it'll happen one day. I'm just trying to get all my affairs in order. So back to you. Back to thinking that you didn't want to do lashes anymore. That's so funny because I mean, this podcast was born at a time when I felt burnt out teaching an EMT class, and here I am teaching an EMT class, right?
Okay, yeah.
Right. So like, what pushed you towards that direction of like, I don't know if I even want this anymore?
I think that it was a combination of just like life stressors. And then because my attention wasn't fully directed to my, like, I don't want to call it my business, but like my work and my like art.
Was that intentional, or you like there were other things pulling your attention away?
There were other things.
Now that's not really your fault, right? Like if you could have chose, would it have gone back to the business?
I think it would have. Yeah. There were a lot of things pulling my attention away.
Yeah.
And then things start to slip through your fingers. I think I started to feel like I was falling behind.
Kind of guilty for.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there was this, because I felt guilty, I'm like, wasn't really facing it. You know what I mean? I was kind of avoiding.
Yeah.
I remember specifically like not staying up to date with things like social media and continuing education. And that's a big one. And like staying on top of trends. And then I started to really fall behind. And I'm like, oh, how do I like pull myself out of this? So it was just this like cycle and spiral. And
yeah. How does one, and is that when you started to create more of a disciplined routine in your life?
So it was before I started to create that discipline routine, but it was, for me, it was getting rid of stressors, like big stressors outside of work.
Was that hard?
It was really hard. It was really hard because they were people.
Yeah.
And they're people that you're attached to.
Sure.
And so and I'm like a naturally like kind of guilty feeling sort of
like people
pleasing person. So to put myself first and then to say like, hey, this needs to like be not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
was really hard for me. So before I was like cutting ties.
What was your like approach to that? Like a pros and cons list, or like did you consult any other people? Like how did you go through that? How did you approach that?
I have a really great mentor.
Wow.
And we started off as friends, and her and I would just have these like conversations on the phone casually. And then she's like a consistent mentor for me now. But I remember talking to her, and she says this all the time, even to this day, like, the only thing that you can do is work on like bettering yourself. And essentially like what I had to do, I'm like, I knew I would like struggle with self-esteem. I struggled with just like prioritizing myself. And she's like, you need to make time for that. And so basically my thought process was, if I can rebuild my self-esteem and get to a place where I can set boundaries, because I'm so secure, then everything else will work out. And so that's where my focus went. I didn't really focus on like, how do I get rid of these people or these things that are in my life right now that are stressing me out? I felt like I needed to rebuild that part of me first and pour into myself.
And at that time, like where was the source of your self-esteem coming from? So like if it was like Maslow's hierarchy, where was most of that source coming from?
Other people.
Okay. And you were trying to invert it back to yourself. Now, if you were to work on yourself, what did that look like at that time?
For me at that time, for me specifically, it was things like self-care, but self-care doesn't mean just like take a bath. That's how it started. It was like, oh, take a fun bath or read at night, like,
how long did that last? Like that.
It was nice. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not really so self-care then became things like discipline, working out, going to the gym, journaling, like prioritizing my mental health. That was self-care. So that's what it looks like for me. Those are the things that I did. But
also what you got out of it was this discipline.
Exactly. Because I would pay attention to how do I feel after I do these things and how do I feel when I'm not prioritizing those things. And so then I would really put in an effort to make sure I was making time to get those things done. Because
it's all fleeting. And so it's similar. There's a lot of great one-liners in that Last Dance documentary. But Phil Jackson would say, you're only as successful as your last successful act. Right? So like the feeling that you had after your last good workout, it's fleeting. And we have to like keep being consistent with it.
It's fleeting. And it also feels like, for me, I remember like, let's say I journaled and I'm like, oh, that feels really great. Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't need to keep doing this. It's fine. I did it once. Like that's enough.
I am healed.
I'm healed. Exactly. And it's like, no, you're really not. Here I am still on this journey.
I don't think there's an end destination to enlightenment.
No.
More so a process.
It's a process, and a practice. It's a constant practice.
Yeah.
And the practice is where you get those like positive effects.
Yeah. So through this discipline, did it get easier to start letting go of what wasn't serving you?
Yes.
Okay.
Because then I was able to say, now I know that this interaction is not making me feel good. Yeah. It is not serving me, and I need to get rid of it.
And it's easier said than done, because I know you've probably said that before, of just like, even if it's family, it's very difficult to let people go, and it's easier said than done. And when you're in the middle of it, I think inherently, I think we are fear-based. We're fear-motivated, right? And so like you might think of things that would happen if this person was no longer in your life.
Yeah.
Or creatures of comfort, right? And it's like we know what's going to happen with this person, despite it being not serving for us, not good for us.
Right. I think it's that fear of the unknown, and I think there was another mentor I worked with, and he explained that a lot of us, actually it was in a book. Okay. It was in the book The Power of Now, and he was explaining he has this like concept called the pain body. Okay. And basically, like as humans, because we go through this pain, like that becomes a part of our identity. Yeah. And so once we remove this like painful experience or painful relationship, like we don't really know who we are without that, and that's scary.
This victim mentality.
Yes. Yeah. We're like, I don't know who I am without that. I've always been this person that has XYZ issue,
So how did you navigate, like Eckhart Tolle, right? And like, how did you navigate then? It's just like, are you thinking about who you want to be? And that has to be stronger than who you've known to be?
It's that, thinking about who you want to be. And then also like, I guess they would just be healthy coping mechanisms, right? And like knowing that you have the tools to process these feelings that come with like cutting ties, like let's say it's a relationship, like I know that I'm going to feel guilty, or a friendship, I'm going to feel guilty. But I know that I will be able to process that feeling, and it's not going to last as long as I think it's not as scary. Like fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And that was really.
I haven't heard that. It makes sense though.
Oh, you haven't heard that? Leah Hormozi.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, Alex Hormozi's wife.
She says that all the time. I'm like, I love that so much, because something feels so,
but
like it's
shallow.
Gonna be so scary, and then you step into the. And it's like, wow,
it's
that
superficial.
Wasn't. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's so quick. Okay. It's so quick. So I'm like, I'll feel guilty for a second, and then I don't know. Another thing that my mentor now tells me to do is you in these situations where you have to like cut ties with someone or move, whatever it is, you are like essentially grieving. Yeah. And so you have to acknowledge that grief too. And you can write a letter, and some people like write a letter and burn it.
They did that at the end of Last Dance. At the end of that season, they burned all their love. Like I think MJ wrote a poem. They just burned it in a coffee can.
And you just, that's it.
Yeah.
That's and that for me, it's been very healing. I did it with like a friendship that I just was ready to move on from. And yeah, it's very cathartic.
I wonder what the opposite of that analogy of fear is. And I think the one word that came to mind is sincerity, which doesn't make sense with the opposite of fear. But when I think of mile wide and an inch deep, when I think of sincerity, I think of, you don't easily come across sincerity, but when you do find it, it's like a mile deep.
Yeah. But is it an inch?
What I mean is like it's hard to find.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
So yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. I wonder if and I wonder also if those people that you had to cut ties with, they could have been sincere, but just not right for you, I guess.
I think that is like the most important takeaway for me, is not looking at it as they've like wronged me or anything like that. It's just, this is not serving me in my life now. And that was a part of the whole process of like really acknowledging that at a time, this person did serve me, and there were like pros to having a relationship with that person. Like the friend specifically helped me through a lot of difficult times. And then once you get out of those difficult times and you start to heal and grow as a person, then your needs change.
But that's so interesting that they were not evolving with you.
Yeah, it is.
They helped you. They were the impetus to helping you evolve. And then that's out of your control, right? But like them no longer evolving, or like no longer.
Yes. And I think it's because each person has to want that for themselves. Yeah. So you can always see like, hey, you should work on whatever. But does that mean that I'm looking at myself that way?
Yeah.
That's the way that I took it, where I was like, oh, I knew like I would take this feedback. I'd cry about it. I'd work on it, and I'd implement it, and whatever, I'd move on. I would actually use it to try to grow as a person. And then I look back.
I was going to say it's maybe because of like some savior complex, but like, you know, like this desire to like want to help people. But like, if that is a sincere desire, wouldn't you want to grow yourself so you can continue serving others?
So my take on that, because that's what the dynamic was. Okay. It was, for that person, I think they were getting a lot of validation out of.
Which is fine, right? But like that shouldn't be the main reason why you're doing this helping.
And that shouldn't be your main source of validation.
Yes.
And if you don't realize that, then, and that's exactly what happened. I don't think that person realized that. And I tried to point it out, and they just didn't. They were like, no. And I was like, yes, yes. And I felt like.
So you didn't just, and here's the thing, you could have just walked away, right? But they were that good of a friend that you really wanted to be face to face and be like, this is where we're at right now.
You know what's funny is, yes, I believe people always, they deserve the opportunity to, I don't know if redeem themselves is the right way to say it, but I feel like I couldn't walk away from this friend. She was a really good friend of mine, and I know her intentions were pure. I do think she was sincere. And so I felt like I can't just walk away from this and not point this out to her on the off chance that she would be like, oh my God, I didn't realize that, and then want to fix it.
Well, here's the full circle moment. What if one day she came back to you and she's like, Gianna, I'm so sorry for the way things left, the way we left things. I've been working on myself. This is what I've been doing these days. Can we go grab coffee or a tea? Yes, we can. Oh, okay.
Yes, we can. I'm so open to, like, for me, it's all temporary. Yeah. And like I said, right now, this isn't serving me. It's making me, it was kind of like stunting my growth in a way at a certain point, because it was like, you got me to this level, but then I'm like coming back down, and it's like a crutch now. Yeah. And I don't need that anymore. I have to like practice being up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or over here, whatever. So yeah, if that person came back to me and said that, I, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're lot of healing to get to that place. Like in the sense of like no grudges, right?
Yeah. I didn't block her. I didn't block her. Okay. So funny story is part of the reason why I believe that is because of an experience I had with you.
What?
Yes. And it was so funny. You had posted a video of this couple that they were robbed at gunpoint. And I remember responding to the video. It was on your story. And I was like, oh my God, that looks fake. And you, instead of saying like, how do you know? Like, you've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
You did tell me that though, just in a very, very like eloquent way.
Oh, I don't remember.
But it was so good because I remember your response and you were like, hey, there's a concealed carry class or something. And you were like, you should take it. And I was like, heard. I'm like, okay, you're right. Like, how could I ever say whether or not that is fake if I've never been in that situation?
Sure.
And I was like, damn. And I remember thinking like when I interact with people and maybe they say something, that's like lacks compassion or empathy or experience. I'm like, oh, it's just because people don't really get it. And there are people that will point things out to you in a very nice way. And it was helpful for me and my growth. And I feel like I pause now before I make judgments like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easy to forget that. So it's almost like making time for that of just like, what state am I in? Am I in a state that is conducive to passing judgment?
And why?
Can I think clearly about this? Yeah. Yeah. Instead of such a quick reactive type state. So at what point did you come back to the business, maybe understanding that this is my livelihood? I'm good at this. I can be serving, my clients better, and I want to continue doing this. At what point did you come back to it?
It was at the end towards the end of my last relationship.
Okay.
And it was a part of my like self-care and diverting that attention back to myself and realizing that what the reasons were for wanting to close down the shop.
Okay.
And basically, once I started to like pour back into myself and really like prioritize myself, I realized I needed that independence.
Okay.
I enjoy that. I enjoy being like self-sufficient, having something that I'm passionate about and having like a project to work on. And like, for me, it's also this artistic expression that I really enjoy. But I didn't realize that until I really started to, I don't know, think about what I wanted.
Right. Like if it weren't for lashes, what would you be doing?
Okay. My dream job.
Okay. You have been thinking of this.
Oh my God, I've been thinking something. Let me get my journal. I brought it. No.
I'm listening.
I wanted to be an artist. Like literally like paint pictures.
Okay. Why can't you do that?
I do sometimes.
Okay.
Now it's a matter of time, which is, I know it's something I need to make time for.
Right.
But I don't necessarily now at this point in my life believe that I can't. It was when I was younger. I didn't, and I didn't think I could make money. It was always this kind of like, I had this belief that artists weren't successful until after they died, because that's, I don't know.
Well, it's kind of what happens,
not, like, not
but
true.
Not true. That's just what we tend to see. But so making money is is a way of validating your art, though.
It was, but it was really like my mom told me that. My mom said that, and so I was afraid. Like I really wanted to be able to support myself, and I'm like, oh man, I don't want to be
not able to
poor,
right? Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay, I'll pick something then that I still like doing, that's still artistic, that I feel like I could make a good living on.
Sure.
To me, looking back, I missed the whole part about choosing something that's fulfilling. Because I probably, like, had I known that would have been a factor,
I would have
done it. I would have
both feed into art, into painting. I mean, but that's the thing. It's like you can do both.
Yeah.
And art, I feel like, is one of those avenues where you can just kind of overlay on top of what you're doing, or like at least creativity, right? Like you can bring, and especially as a business owner, you can incorporate as much or as little creativity into your business as you want. And maybe you don't give yourself enough credit for incorporating as much creativity as you do.
I feel like I've been expressing it a lot more in like my content, which is fun.
Yeah.
I would like to paint though.
Now imagine, let's say you're 15, 20 years into painting. I mean, I was going to say, like, on a day-to-day, I wonder if you would miss the conversations that you currently have with your clients.
That was also a huge factor.
Yeah.
But I will say, for me, having those conversations with my clients, I love them. And I have developed a lot of like really, really great friendships and met a lot of just great people and mentors.
And to give people perspective, how long is a session with you, and like how deep do these conversations go typically?
So it's anywhere from an hour to, when you get that like initial set, it's like 3 hours, but that's not like a regular appointment.
Okay.
They are usually coming in for fills, which are like an hour and a half.
Okay.
And we talk about everything. Like, I have been the first to know that a client is pregnant multiple times. You know, it's like things like that. And like, I think it's a unique space because your client's laying down and their eyes are closed. So it makes it that much easier to open up.
Yeah. A safe space. Right.
So I get all the tea.
Yeah. And I wonder, how do you, because like, I'm sure you've met clients that are maybe stuck in their own loops, and you've played therapist, unofficially, at times.
Definitely.
Of like, how many cycles have you broken?
I think that's also encouraging for me too, because I know that as soon as if I go through something and I work through it and heal from it, then I can share that with a client.
Right.
So it's motivating in that sense.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of my clients will leave saying, I feel like I just got therapy. And I'm like, I'm just talking, I'm just chatting. So I love that for you. And it's nice, people, they leave feeling that way, feeling like, relaxed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
And that's how I view our EMT class at this point, is like, it's a vessel to impart some timeless wisdom. Right? I haven't been on an ambulance since 2018. So I really trust the instructors to do a lot of the legwork on teaching. But I have, after Ryan, Doris came on, like, it's this newfound appreciation for how hard it is to find something you at least mildly enjoy, and then something you're actually pretty good at. And that's hard to, and if you can overlap some of that stuff, things that you enjoy and things that you're good at, a lot of people would consider yourself very lucky at that point. And to let that go would be admirable, I guess, if you're in search for something else. But if you can reframe your perspective on that, then you have a leg up on life in a way.
Yeah.
It's your bread and butter, right? And if you view this as it's more than just lashes. You're building a community. It's a vessel to share life wisdom with each other. It's an opportunity to be creative. What if you hung up your paintings in your space?
Totally. Yeah, and that's like, again, like one thing that I love about it is like there is this like womanhood.
Yeah.
There, and clients are coming in and out, and then my clients are like friends with each other, and so I'm like, that was also part of the reason I'm like, I just can't give up on this, and I had to really start thinking about like, what is it that I'm getting out of doing lashes? Like, what is it that's fulfilling for me? And it was that, and that was part of what tied me back. And then like having these clients that come in, they're coming in for lashes, not therapy. So I'm like, I also have to get good at lashes again. So that they're not paying me for therapy. So yeah, I think you're right. I feel lucky
Yeah.
that I get to do this. I love doing lashes. I feel lucky that I was able to choose like a very specific niche in the beauty industry and like create a career out of that. And at the same time, yes, like have this community of women and share, like that's like women, that's what they do. And
Yeah.
I love that. And I struggled with, I mean, we don't have to like go so deep into all this, but I struggled with having like healthy female relationships, I think. And I struggled with like my own femininity and I would reject it essentially.
What do you mean? In the sense of like, would you describe yourself as a tomboy growing up, or like, what do you mean rejecting your own femininity? Like, how would that look?
Like I was very masculine, just
Okay.
like energetically.
Okay. Oh,
You know,
okay.
like I didn't feel like I could be around like men and like relax. I always felt like I was like on the defense, if that makes sense.
Men or women?
Men.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, so if when you said that initially, I got the sense that you had this masculine energy, and many maybe other women were turned off by it. This like take it or leave it type energy.
I think I like resented them.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Can you? Yeah.
I'm like, should I just elaborate all the way?
Please. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, yeah, I had this like really masculine energy about myself, I think. Especially like having a business, you know, and I just never felt like I could be feminine. And so I think I resented other women and I didn't feel like I fit in. And I like deeply wanted that deep down. Like I wanted to be like a girly girl.
Yeah.
And I never was. I never
Really?
really like leaned into that. Yeah. Maybe like on the surface.
Okay.
But really
okay.
like at heart.
I've never heard you say that in the sense of
Yes.
like lashes are the epitome of like femininity,
Isn't
right?
that funny?
And when I say that, I can't help but think of a previous guest, a friend who is all about the reclaiming, I guess, femininity. So her definition is just like no modifications, no tanning, no piercings, anything like that. No, nothing that augments, right? I don't know if piercings is probably fine. But yeah, that definition of femininity is definitely fluid. So it's very interesting that you felt that way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely fluid. For me, what it was, the way that I define it, I can't even say how I define it. I think it was just less like being in a position to always be like making decisions and doing and like not like one word that I hear to describe femininity is flow. And I'm like, I can't flow. I'm like, I need to like make plans.
Grace and flow and side tangent, passenger princess. I don't know. Just like you take the wheel, you know?
Exactly. And I'm like, I will take the wheel. Thank you. No. And that's a perfect example. I'm like being able to relinquish control. I couldn't do it.
Okay.
And that's, I guess, what people would describe like a masculine trait to be.
So you resented other women for their ability to relinquish control.
Mm-hmm. To like all of those traits.
And you wish for yourself that you could have relinquished control.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, and the people that you were around, they didn't give off that energy of like, Gianna, I got this. Maybe for like let's say dinner plans, like Gianna, I already made reservations.
Oh, no. No.
Okay.
And I think that in my experience, this is my experience, that because I was in that energy, you attract people that are in the opposite.
Perhaps. Could you even be in a relationship with two type A?
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With the two type A.
With
yeah. Right. Exactly.
Would that work? That would work. That could work, right?
It would be a lot.
When I say type A, it's always a scale, right? So it's just like maybe type A in certain instances.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
Wouldn't like you appreciate like someone killing it in what they kill it at, and then
yes, I feel like now you're just describing like two like responsible people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That would be ideal.
Yes. Yeah.
Can we have it all?
Can you do your chores and can I do my chores? Yeah. Yes. I think I would get into, it was, for me, it was like romantic partners.
Okay.
You know, where they were a lot less. And I think part of it was because I was just so willing to like do everything I
Sure.
wanted to. They were like, okay, fine. But I do need someone that's like, no.
Now, in the past, was that explicit? Or would you kind of just hold that to yourself and just like, damn, I wish she would like.
Oh, of course. I resented that. Like, that's like.
Yeah, right. So in this now, like this current phase, is that one of the things that you might even share in the very get-go?
No. I don't share it. But here, I haven't shared it in my current experiences because I haven't needed to, which is funny. And that's why I feel like you really attract certain like energies. And now I'm like, the people that I'm around now are like, I will do everything. I'll take care of it. I'll get it done. I'll make the most of it. Like, and even girlfriends.
In your experience, how much time or what type of meaningful experiences do you have to go through? How many meaningful experiences do you have to go through before you can trust the process?
Are you asking me specifically?
Yeah. I mean, so in the sense of, you know, people are on their best behavior, let's say for the first 10 meetings. Mm-hmm. And that's just so subjective. But in your experience, you know, we're just so tired of being let down, right? So like how long, how many, and maybe it's not time, but it's like the number of meaningful experiences that you've had with someone. And I think when I say meaningful, it could be something difficult together. That's like, let's say you were, you know, doing lashes together with someone and like you're in this environment, this intimate space, and the quality, the quality of the conversations and the acts that you're doing are just at a higher degree than this in passing on the street type interaction. Mm-hmm. You know, like let's say like, you know, OR nurse, operating room nurses are just so buddy, or like you're at the firehouse and you were part of a team that saved someone's life, resuscitated someone. It's inevitable that team becomes a family. Mm-hmm. And so all to say, like how many what do you try to put yourself through in any relationship, romantic or platonic, to tease out whether or not this person is trustworthy, reliable?
Oh, I think it's different for each type of relationship.
Right, yeah.
So that's a hard one. I don't even think I can answer that because I think in the past, things just surface.
Yeah.
Things have surfaced that I'm like, okay, before I even need to continue on with this relationship, I've seen enough. You know? And I think it's
so whereas now you're still giving everyone a blank slate.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
There's all things considered, I don't think that I struggle with trusting people. I really do believe in the blank slate.
Yeah.
So time will tell. How much time is required, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think challenging situations or experiences are great indicators because they can...
One being a road trip.
Yeah.
Take a road trip with someone.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Try to share, and this is obviously for romantic partners, but like try sharing closet space or bathroom space.
Bathroom space. Oh my God, yeah. I have like a really, I don't know. I was gonna say I have a good example of a time when I have a friend.
Yeah.
And we were interacting for months. And she was coming in, getting lashes done. I'm sorry, my client and friend is interchangeable.
Okay, that's great.
So she started off as a client, and then she does social media, and we started working together. She was helping with social media, and we were trying to like figure out how we can work together. And we had been interacting for like a year at this point.
Yeah.
And on a regular basis, because she's coming in for lashes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like all of these, and we're working together, and then we're trying new things with just like strategies and stuff like that, because we're not getting the result that we want, right? So we're having to like regroup, re-strategize.
Oh, and it's refreshing to see someone put as much energy into something as you do.
Yes. And there was a conversation that we had that was probably like the most transparent and like you could tell that both of us had the goal of like getting on the same page, even if that meant we just didn't work well together. And that was eventually what ended up happening. And now we're like really, really good friends.
Wow.
But that took forever. And it took like 2 or 3 like hour-long conversations where we had to like say things to each other that like hurt each other's feelings. It's like, you're not good at this thing and you're not good at that thing. And like, it was rough. And that was that kind of like adversity that just accidentally happened.
Was there a period where you spent time apart then?
No.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that willingness to just get to a common goal despite, hurt feelings.
And I've never had that before. And she was just like, okay. And I was like, okay. And then we moved on. And we're like, maybe we can do this thing together. And she's like, okay. And now we like always find things to do. And we always just like adjust.
Has that changed how you operate at all on a day-to-day then with other people?
It does. And it goes back to like being able to just have those like transparent conversations with people and like bring things to their awareness.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how they're going to receive them.
So you continue to be that transparent, and however they react is however they react.
Yeah. And I think that I like tailor my delivery to that person because I usually is somebody that I know.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's important.
Yeah, it is. Read the room.
Read the room.
Yeah.
So, but it more than anything, I think gave me hope because relationships, friendships don't always go that way. Yeah. And it's like, it can be scary. Confrontation can be scary.
I mean, going back to, resenting the feminine energy, it's like, at what point, did you have your first like feminine friend?
It would be that friend that I had noted earlier.
Oh,
She's
really?
probably like my longest friend. I had friendships in high school, but she was like right after high school we became friends.
So and like, were you actively? That's so that healing process of like that. Now you have this desire to like include or maybe be a part of this feminine energy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did that? I mean, was that a process for you, or was it just like, I want this?
It was like, I want this. And it started with like, similarly to I'm going to start taking baths and like doing like cute, like whatever girl stuff. And then it was learning what that actually meant in like different dynamics with other people and trusting and not being so like type A. And that comes from like a controlling, like, I think it's like a stress response, needing
control.
Yeah. Needing to like control the outcome. And that's the flow that was lacking, where it's like, okay, we don't always have to control.
There's a dance to it.
There's a dance.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Does that make any sense?
A little bit. A little bit. So, I mean, how long did it take for you to gain that sense of femininity for yourself?
I don't know, maybe like...
Is it still a work in progress?
I think always forever, but I think now I feel so much more comfortable there. Yeah. Maybe like a year if I had to like really give it a timeline.
There's a time and place for everything. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you like into the feminine, masculine energy?
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to put words to it, but I think to me it's more intuitive, and there are words to it. I've read books about it, but I'm not like denying it, and it's not exclusive to genders or anything like that. We all have this scale, and the scale varies situationally. There's a time and place to be type A, and then there's a time and place to be type B. So I don't even, and I guess that is part, like, I guess the genders, it's so interesting. Like in the class, we try to be more sensitive with the terms that we're using. But I guess, genders like, definitely lean more one way than the other, typically on average. But each gender has traits of both masculine and feminine energy. I don't know. I think even guys enjoy letting their partners take the wheel, and vice versa. So I don't know.
Okay, I was just wondering why I wasn't making. If it was me, that
no,
was.
it's not that it's not making sense. I was just curious, like what experiences led you to evolve and get over the hurdle of this resentment?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I was like, are we missing context? Well, a lot of it was realizing how stressful it was to always have to feel like I was in control over everything.
Maybe was it connecting with other female entrepreneurs?
It was this mentor that I have, like talking to her.
Because it can feel, being a business owner can feel very lonely sometimes, right?
Yeah.
With all this responsibility on your shoulders.
Yeah. For me, I don't know, I guess it wasn't a specific experience like that, like not being able to connect. I think that over the years, like I've developed friendships with other female entrepreneurs and business owners, and that felt fine, So I don't know. That wasn't really like a push for me, if that makes sense. I think it was just I guess it was just like the last relationship that I was in, right? Where I felt like I was always in my masculine, like always having to like do everything. And it's just stressful. I'm like, I don't want to be there. And I know why I'm there. And it's like a lot to do with me and wanting to be in control of everything. And so that was one of the stressors that I had to like let go of.
Yeah.
So it's not always like external, I guess, if that makes sense. It's also internal in that sense where like I have this anxiety of if things don't go the way that I want them to, then,
well,
what's going to happen?
How many people know that you're also a mom?
Yeah. I think everybody now.
Yeah. Where you have to be on for him. Mm-hmm. Right. And but how I guess at this point he looks like a man. This growth spurt, young sir.
It's growth spurting.
Yeah. Are you able to relinquish more and more control these days as he's coming into his own?
That's so funny because that's what you're supposed to do. So I had to read some books, and it's the same thing. I'm like, okay, it's so easy to just like do everything for them,
Yeah.
So it's funny because all of this happened with me really relinquishing control in other areas of my life, really set me up well for now at this time where my son, he's 14.
Oh
and
my goodness.
Yeah. And I'm reading this book and they're explaining it's the same thing. You have to let them do it's the same idea, but for a very different reason. And for them, it's so they can develop their own like autonomy and learn how to make decisions for themselves. And that's hard.
Is it? I wouldn't know. I don't know. At the same time, how wonderful it is to, obviously they're family, they're a part of you, but like they're also their own individual.
Yeah.
And their personalities coming out, their interests are coming out, likes and dislikes, who they associate themselves with, what they wear.
Mm-hmm. It is very interesting when you can look at it that way.
Okay.
As a mom, I was like,
what's the filter? Like,
you're scaring me.
Oh.
Yeah. So, okay. Like he tried to walk home from Lincoln Park High School without telling me, and he didn't have his phone because he was grounded. And I was like, oh my God, like, why would you do that? And I had to stop and I'm like, okay, is this something that he's like capable of doing? Like, yes, but if he's prepared. And just the way I went about it, I was like, I have to like prepare him better for these things. Like they don't have critical thinking at this age.
It's probably been like 4 or 5 years. But I vividly remember having pizza with you guys and him letting Cosmo out, and I'm like, oh, you just going around the block with Cosmo. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow. Good. Okay, he's so independent.
Oh my God, yeah.
So I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that.
See, and like things like that where I feel like, okay, he's safe, he's fine.
Yeah.
But things where I don't like that we haven't experienced yet, I guess feel scarier for me. Where I'm like, oh my God.
How often does he go to? Because you mentioned Lincoln Park High School, which is where Justine went.
Oh, okay.
Would he stop at Red Light Chicken?
We'll see. This is his first year. That was orientation.
Oh wow, 14.
That was orientation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So-
I was next to people before they were going to Lollapalooza.
Wait, I love Red Light Chicken.
You okay? So you
I love Red Light Chicken.
know. Okay.
Ask me how often I go.
3 times a week? I don't know.
I won't answer.
Yeah, what a hidden, not so hidden gem. But we were standing next to individuals going to Lala, and we just started talking, and they're like, yeah, we come here. We go to LP, and like they go to there like 3 times a week. I'm like, oh, I would too if I was in this area. I would drive all the way from Pilsen to to Red Light.
It's so good.
Yeah, independence.
So it's great now that I feel okay. So after I read this book, I feel a lot more prepared.
What's the book in question? And is it about parenting or single parenting, or what is it about?
It's called How to Remain Calm While Parenting a Teen. It's great. And it's very helpful. I feel prepared. So now I feel like, okay, I can appreciate all the independence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is there a chapter or a paragraph or a phrase that stood out that made it click for you?
I think there were a few like traits of teens that they highlighted
that made you understand why he is the way he is.
Yes. Oh. And I'm like, oh, I think initially, like for me, when I've struggled with parenting, I'm like, am I just a bad parent? Like, why is he acting this way? And then I read this book and they're like, no, it's all boys. And that made me feel better.
What traits?
So they just like love, they're like thrill seekers, right? So they like dare each other to jump off, whatever, like things like that, where I'm like, oh my God, yes, why would he do that? Or like that impulsive decision to walk home from school without like consulting anyone, or even like he's never walked that walk before. Like, why would you? So the lack of critical thinking was mentioned.
That adventurousness.
Hygiene.
Okay.
What's
a shower?
What's a shower? Not brushing their teeth. I was like, what is wrong with him? Like, what is wrong with him? Like, how many different ways can I explain this?
Yeah.
And they're like, nope, that's just how they are. Sorry. And I'm like, okay, cool. So it's not me.
Okay.
And that made me feel better.
Now, like when I hear that, I'm like, do you show what can happen if you don't shower? What can happen if you don't brush your teeth? What can happen if you take the wrong way home?
Yeah, I've tried everything.
Oh. Fear doesn't work on them, huh?
It does not work, because you would think, right? But fear, what I've learned, does not teach critical thinking. Okay. It's like this practice of teaching him how to like pause, gather data, and then analyze the data, and then kind of come up with a plan. Like you have to teach them all those things, and this book helps you. Okay. You know, because like I've done that, and he still does not like care.
Well, I wonder if they care, depending on who it comes from.
That is the other thing in the book, and that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, not saying it has to be a dad, but like a coach or a teacher or a friend or a friend's parent. I don't know.
So they rely heavily, I don't remember exactly how he put it, but like the way that they kind of determine their like place or their role in society is like through like validation of their friends. So they care a lot more about what their friends think. So if their friends like dare them to do something silly, like they're going to do it because they seek that validation and they seek that like not society,
self-worth. I don't know.
No, like that group of friends that oh my goodness, I can't think of the word.
Their tribe.
Yes, that's a good word. And they want that, so they don't care. They care less what parents are
I wonder if that book if it's possible to develop this level of self-worth without external validation. Or I wonder if it's something that all teens have to go through.
The way that the book puts it is that it's just kind of something that they all go through, because when you get into like a big group of kids in school, whatever it is, like it's just something that kind of naturally happens. And they meet these kids and they're like, oh, I got to figure out like where I belong.
Sure.
You know,
which is important, I guess, you know, to like, we're evolved to compare, right? And see where our place is and see where we might stand. And if you had this goal in mind, what are the chances of achieving that goal? So I get that. And I think it's important to be aware of that, but at what age, what is the perfect age to impart, you know, how to help them to develop their own self-worth?
So this book specifically, and what I've learned too, is like it kind of happens before high school, I think. And so, for example, here's a good example. He just went to sleepaway camp. So he was at camp for 2 weeks. And there's no phones. There's no, like, he doesn't know anybody there. So them going through these like really challenging experiences, like obviously like safely, will help them develop this self-esteem. So even if they get into high school and they're exposed to all these like other boys that are, I don't know, whatever's happening in school, there's all kinds of things like smoking, and like everybody's vaping now, you know,
to where they're not shook, or they're not, they can't waver.
Yeah, so they may be influenced.
Right.
They're going to make mistakes, but if you have that foundation, I find they always come back to that.
So, and which is a callback to the meaningful experiences that we're trying to not design per se with new relationships, but you know, difficult situations will bring about certain traits in someone and will teach you whether or not you can rely on this person, and if it's this type of person you want to be around in tough situations. Because you don't, you know, it's easy to be around someone in an easy situation, but what if shit hits the fan? Is this person going to turn their back on you? Are they going to walk away from you? Are they going to become, you know, imagine something as simple as road rage, right? Someone who's, you know, bumper to bumper traffic, and they just get pissed at the world, and they're laying on the horn, they're cursing drivers out, and it's just like, it's not necessary. It's like something as simple as traffic can bring about the worst in someone. So I that's so cool to hear that. I don't know if there's a good age to impart, or like, unless you just, and I think about like teenage girls, and like, how do you help them develop a sense of self-worth? So, you know, their future partner, they're not easily influenced by anything, you know, and they've identified what they want in this life, who they want to be, who they want to be around, and they're not swayed.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously only have experience parenting a boy, but if I had to answer, like, well, for at what age, I would say it starts like really young. So I saw a reel on Instagram, and it was this mom letting her baby, it was like 1 or 2, she was just like barely able to stand up at the table, and she's peeling an egg, and it's taking her like 3 hours to peel this egg.
Is the baby Asian?
Yes. Did you see that?
I've probably seen this reel, but it's the cutest. Is it Japanese?
I think so. It's so cute. But
she's working through it, right?
She's working through it.
Yeah.
So it starts so young. Like, you know. And then for girls, I think what is, you know, because of what I experienced, it's learning how to fulfill your own needs. And that, for me, like I said, really helped build up my self-esteem. And then I don't feel reliant on other people to do that for me.
Well, I wonder how many people in general, not just guys and girls, but like, not just girls, but have spent the time to identify their needs. Or their desires. Like, what do they want? Their
desires, like what fulfills them.
Yeah.
Not many people.
Or why are they doing the things that they're doing? Which, you know, as an adult, leads you to these sometimes cyclical patterns of just being stuck in a loop. If you haven't taken the time to identify what you want.
And how do you even know that you're supposed to take the time to identify what it is that...
because, you know, school, I don't know how elementary school is these days, but, you know, the thought is school is just churning out worker bees, right? So like you're going to be tasked with a job, and you're going to learn how to do that job really well, but to be self-sufficient and think on your own, not many places do that. You know, maybe the Montessoris of the world do that, but not traditional school.
Affordable.
Right. So accessible. That's interesting. So how has it been now? So like, it's been, wow, it's August. It's been 8 months since I've visited the new location, and it's not far from the previous location, but like, is it smaller? Is it bigger? To you, is it an upgrade? Like, what have you kept, and what have you shed away?
Oh man, it is.
Because it's still a work in progress, I'm sure.
And I feel better, but I'm like, to find the words of why I feel better. So
Okay.
I feel like the space, we'll start with just the space
Sure.
on like a superficial level, is more my like vibe. I feel like it's a little more grown,
Yeah.
which I love, with like the darker walls,
Rather than the
darker
white.
vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
white was like fun, and that was fun for me at the time.
Okay.
And then I switched, and I love it. It was just like a simple switch, and I think that I don't know. I think it does represent like my growth, and it just feels a little bit more mature, if that makes sense.
Okay. Okay.
So I do love that.
So that's the aesthetics.
That's the aesthetics. The space is a little bit smaller.
Sure.
I wasn't utilizing all the space that I had. So I was like, like I said, I'm like, had I not found this space, I don't know what I would be doing.
Wow. Okay.
So I was like,
So it was very lucky that it happened, that you found a space, and then two, it was close to where you were.
I literally was like, God, if there's a space, like literally I was like, universe, what if I happen to come across a space that I feel like can work for me, then I'll keep going. And I found this space, and I'm like, it works.
Now, and how did you land on the space? Were you walking past it?
I was
it an
walking
online
past
listing?
it.
Yeah,
I was
right.
walking past it,
Okay.
and it just fell into my lap. And I remember there was like a Tide Cleaners there before, and I'm like, I looked in there, and I remember thinking like, the space that I want it to be a little bit lofty with like the concrete ceilings and floors. And I looked at this space, and it wasn't online. And I had been scouring the internet for spaces.
Sure.
And then I walked past this space, and all of a sudden, and it had been vacant for like 2 years. So it did really feel like, and I would walk past all the time, because I lived north of, where the old
Did you
location
ask why?
was.
Why was it vacant for 2 years?
They didn't tell me why. They were like, they're not going to tell me.
Okay. But
They're like, no, it's fine.
Okay.
And I was like, that is so wild. And it just felt like, okay, let's do it.
Did you consider sharing space with any other business owners? No. Is there what's the reason why? Because that's kind of my next iteration. I want more space, but I think to afford more space, I'm gonna have to partner with, and not businesses that are completely, that can't serve a similar audience.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love. Here's me manifesting. I would love like a coffee shop, maybe a juice bar, maybe a co-working space, and then a gym. So people that are maybe training for the physical ability test for firefighting, maybe a gym, like a CrossFit high intensity interval training type gym, maybe a yoga studio, maybe a jiu-jitsu gym, and that can all serve a similar demographic. There's some overlap. So now with that, it's hard finding the right pieces. And I feel like you can't rush some of that. But on the other end of that spectrum, kind of time is of the essence. And the longer you wait to execute, this idea becomes more and more fleeting. So that's what I hope to be the next iteration. I mean, we're in a less than 1,000 square foot space, and I would love to have more space. I'd love to have like a drop down audio, video kind of like the center dome of like the United Center, with TVs on every side, and you have a good view, because right now I just got one TV. So like with a good view of the media that we're trying to display from any angle. So like the ability to build out a space, I would love. If not a wedding venue too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I was coming at. What's your reason for not wanting to partner?
I just felt like I wasn't ready. I felt like after hardly even wanting to continue on with doing lashes, I felt like I found a space that was just it feels like a really great way for me to kind of start over. And I have a short-term lease there.
And you talked about, was the last one triple net too?
Yes.
Not many people know like what that is, but you're responsible for not just the rent, but all the associated fee, like of like maintenance and even the property taxes, like a percentage of the property taxes. Like what?
100% of the property.
100%.
Yeah.
But aren't there people that live above you?
They pay their own property taxes.
Okay, so it's divvied up to space then.
It's divvied up to space. Yes, it isn't like the landlord pays a percent. It's all it's all me for my space.
God. So
I know,
would you do triple net again? Like what are the upsides, I guess? I'm just curious.
There's no upside.
There's no upside.
I can't say there's an upside. All I can say is that it's a standard for Crook County.
Oh,
sorry,
okay,
can we say that?
Yeah. Why not?
It's just the standard, and so it's something that people you can't really challenge that. You know what I mean? Because everybody.
Meaning it's hard to find a commercial space that isn't triple net?
Yes, especially if it's a bigger space, I think.
Okay.
Sorry, getting antsy.
Yeah.
At least when I was looking. So when I was saying that I was looking for all these spaces on the internet, they were all triple net. I'm like, I don't want to do that. And I knew I had to get my own head together before I went into a business. I think when you have a triple net lease, if you are like really producing a lot of income,
sure, I guess.
fine. Yeah. Like from my friends that have businesses, I know someone, big nail salon.
Okay.
And they just signed a triple net lease.
Sure.
And for them, it makes sense because they make so much money.
Right.
They have a lot of people in there. So the bigger the space, the more sense it makes because you can have that revenue. So
yeah. And I know you're booked out to the point, and a lot of because due to your regulars, but do you ever think about the amount of time that you're not in the space?
Yes, it's never.
Oh, so you're always in the space.
Yeah. Okay, but as far as what?
Well, I'm here, like in my space, I'm here like maybe 2-3 times a week.
Oh, really?
And so like if I could have a concealed carry class in here, it's any type of class, yoga class, like wine and sip class, like whatever you want, like tables, chairs, TV, like whatever you want. I'm just like that lost potential.
Oh, okay. See, I'm there 5 to 6 days a week.
Good for you.
So I definitely utilize my space in that sense, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that is what I was asking.
So I use it. So it works for me, you know.
Yeah.
It's not maximized. Like I would love to have more people work there.
Right. But now that it's smaller,
yeah,
you
and
are,
I can
you
still
are
fit
kind of
people.
maximizing.
Well, I can still fit like
nice.
4 other girls.
Wow.
Maybe 3.
Yeah.
So that would be nice. And that's kind of where I wanted to get back to.
At this point in time, is there a demand to become a lash artist?
It seems like there are a lot of people that want to become lash artists.
Okay. What's the appeal? Like from an outsider's, not, now that you know, but like from an because we've talked about this before, but like you don't really grow up thinking I want to be a lash artist, right? So like how does one get exposed to it and how does one get into it? Right?
I'm like, I have the answer, but they're not going to like it. So from what I think, my perspective, and I spend quite a bit of time, I would say, in these like discussion boards and Facebook groups, because I, at some point, want to get into like teaching.
Sure.
So I was trying to figure out like what are pain points, what are girls struggling with, new artists. And there has been a rumor, I guess, that the lash art or the lash industry is dying, and everybody is talking about that. And so it's just created this whole like weird reputation. I don't know.
Of fear?
Can we go back? We have to go back.
Yeah.
So the appeal, I think, was like quick money.
Quick money.
Yeah. Beauty school is like 6 months.
What's giving off the sense that it's quick money?
Because of the...
Are there lash artists like driving Lambos and Ferraris out here? Like what's given this persona?
Yeah, there
this
are.
facade.
There are. Like,
really?
It's regularly advertised that you can make 6 figures as a lash artist.
Oh wow. I'm just not following the right pages.
Yeah. So it was regular, and that's why my brain like went on a journey and then went to, now the lash industry is dying. We'll connect the dots.
Okay.
But so it was regularly like advertised and promoted and like spoken about that you can make 6 figures as a lash artist, which is like, it's true.
And do you need school? You don't need college though, right?
You don't need college.
Okay.
So that's why it created this like reputation for fast money. I just learned how to, and I had students that would come to me and say, yeah, it's just like quick, easy. I had employees that were like, I just want to be booked as much as possible. And I'm like, but you can't, for me, I care deeply about the work that I put out and my clients. I want them to be happy. I want their lashes to be healthy, all of that. So I'm like, you can't look at it that way. You can't look at it as quick money. And that's why I personally have seen a lot of like just subpar work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that's the appeal.
Yeah. Well, and how do you frame it in a way that they heed your warning without turning them off? How do you move away? Because good help is hard to find, and just because someone produces subpar work doesn't mean that they're not moldable, and that they're not growth oriented. Hopefully, and if they are, and we understand that good help is hard to find, how can we frame it in the sense that it doesn't leave a bad taste in their mouth?
I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah.
Because I've had employees that I've worked with I've kept on a long time because I tried to figure out a way, and maybe it's just like me and my lack of experience or whatever, but I really would try to use like encouragement, like you're so great. And they are.
Yes.
Like that's why I hired them. They're so talented. I'm like, you could take your work to the next level, which means that you can raise your prices. You can have consistent clients, you'll be in demand, and you will make 6 figures. And for some reason, it was just, I'm like, we might have to cut this out. But I do feel like because beauty school is 6 months. Hair is like a year.
Are you saying it should be longer?
I'm saying that it attracts people that
want to do it for the wrong reasons.
Don't want to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's easier than 4-year college.
Okay, so which is like a lot of what makes you good at what you do came from experience rather than school?
Yes.
Right?
For me, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess what would you incorporate if you were to extend how long school is?
I don't know if it's about extending, because how do you teach someone this work ethic and this like how do you teach someone to take pride in their work? That's where we struggle. Taking pride and understanding the amount of work that has to go into developing your craft. That's what's hard to teach for me.
Yeah. Well, it's really given that kudos when you do see good work. And to some extent, when a newcomer comes into your space and is learning, they are seeking your validation, and you're not frivolously giving it out. But when you do see it and you give it out, I hope it clicks that like, wow, this set took much longer and it was much more work than maybe a previous set.
Totally. And I really think, like, I know that helps me, that encourages me. And so I try to do that. I don't know, because then you're getting into some real like psychological
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this for me in my experience has come down to like values. Like work ethic is, how do you there's only encouragement only goes so far.
Yeah. And maybe is that even something that can be teased out in an interview, or do you have to observe them for a certain amount of sessions to observe this work ethic? Show up early, leave late type thing, which maybe is a culture we're trying to move away from, but like things that demonstrate a work ethic.
Well, okay. Yes,
people can just interview well, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you walk the walk?
Yeah, I think for me in this industry, it is just a trial period. And I think,
which, if I were to get hired at Northwestern, it's a 90-day, new hires they have 90 days before they can just get fired.
for no reason.
Is that long
That's
for
long.
you?
It's long because I don't think that it takes that long.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, it's not necessarily time. It's like meaningful experiences, right?
yeah, I think there's an attitude that people will have. You'll kind of know. Like I kind of now have an idea of the type of person. For me,
Sure.
this is very specific to me and and not even just the industry. But I'm like, I know that I need someone that's going to come and be like, what can I do? And it's never stay later, come in earlier. It's hardly ever that. Like maybe you have a regular client that's like, hey, this client is like, has been here coming in for years, whatever, and they want to come in. It's not stuff like that is unreasonable, is what I'm saying.
Right.
But it's like, how can I be better? What can I do to like make things run smoothly?
Yeah.
I've seen this in other businesses. And so seeing that, I'm like, okay, that's the type of person that I need to work with. I think it's also, there's a lot of like independent, like solopreneurs, they're calling them now in the industry.
Well, that's interesting. It's like you want that type of person with that work ethic. And I guess who are we to say they might have their own business one day? And if you can be a part of that journey to help them get to that next business, that's great. I wonder how many of those individuals that have, and there are though, because I have it on my team. It's just like that have great work ethics, but have no interest in, owning their own shop.
Well, who are they?
I'm sure they're available, and they are available in any industry. But like we said earlier, it's just like the lash industry is. I feel like you have to either like get your own done in order to be aware of like what does it take to become an artist, and if you have not done that, then where is it in your purview? It's not. You're not aware of these things. That it's even a job.
Yeah.
So the appeal, what would you like the appeal to be, rather than the flashiness of it?
I guess I would like the appeal to be that it is an art. And that's something that I struggled with, and I didn't see it as that. And when I did, I think that my work improved, and my relationship with my work improved, because it didn't feel like a chore.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're not viewing it as art and there's no like passion behind it, then I don't know. I think that it can just be hard to want to get better.
I guess when you say art, can you describe like kind of like the tactile sense, like things you're going through in order for you to get that feeling
that it's art?
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess what it is like you're really like you're looking at a person's face. Like I can look at your face right now and decide like, okay, how do I want to like manipulate your features to, I don't know. It depends on what you want to do. Like some girls need like their eyes to be lifted or whatever. So you think about styling and which lashes you're going to put where.
Wow.
Same thing with brows, right?
Okay.
My favorite thing about brows and it being artistic is getting that super clean line.
Yeah.
And to be able to make that with like hairs. It's like a dotted line, you know?
Wow.
It's like, it's for me, it's fun, but it's because I look at it that way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of thinking like, oh, it's just like something I can do because everybody that does it makes $100,000, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And they think like, oh, it's easy. It is easy to take an eyelash and pick it up but to really.
So I guess like how does it translate from more traditional forms of art? Like how can someone get an idea of being a lash artist is something that I might be good at and enjoy? Is there another type of art analogy you might attribute it to?
I don't know, other than you're creating something that can elicit an emotional response.
Damn. Okay.
On somebody's face that they're going to carry around with them for forever if you're my client. 8 years. But you know what I mean? Like you're creating this art on somebody's face that changes to them what their face looks like, hopefully in a positive way.
Yeah.
And then they leave. I've had a client like cry after she got her lashes done, and she just felt so pretty.
The results are immediate for them.
Yes. Okay. And long lasting.
Yeah.
And that's what my clients say. You know, I think most people that get eyelashes done regularly will say that. Like
they see value in it, and then they'll come back, which is the ultimate compliment.
Yes. Yes.
Don't worry about tips. Just keep coming back.
Yeah. I mean, for real.
Right.
Like, yeah. So, and that ties back to like having that passion behind it. So
but
if
also,
you can look at it that way.
Yeah, you mentioned like lashes in the sense of being healthy, as if maybe they are living organisms, right? And like, so it's taking a step beyond solely a job and more so like an advocate to like, this is how you can best serve your lashes beyond me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something I talk to my clients about, is just keeping them clean and healthy. The way that we define healthy is just like keeping your lashes clean at home. And then when you come in, the artist is supposed to choose like a certain style and like length, and the application has to be right so that your natural lashes can like shed and with their shed and go through their own cycle, their hair growth cycle, without being interrupted.
Do they differ from other hair as far as shed cycle? Is that how often do they shed?
The shed cycle is different. It's different for everybody. I think it's like 3 to 6 months, but it's different than like the hair on your head or your eyebrows. It's different.
Wow. So then how have you, like, where are we currently at with help and with a team? Like is it hard? Is it still hard to retain good help?
It is. It's hard. And my book is full. So I'm like, 5-6 days.
You need the help.
I need the help, but it's like, oh my God, I don't have time to find it.
and it's like, it's finding consistent good help where you don't have to micromanage.
Yeah. And I know for me, I'm very particular.
Whereas like training is different from micromanaging, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's why I'm like, I need somebody that can take initiative, but also I feel like I've built out a very good like framework for all of the things that I need done.
Yeah, that's very interesting. If you were to create like an online course, is that something you've thought of before?
I have.
Oh, okay. You got this fancy new camera.
I know, right?
Like you have this fancy.
There's going to be
you have a fancy
body.
We're going to put lashes on this guy.
We're going to put lashes on this guy. There's going to be someone giving him CPR on the other side.
Yeah.
We're sharing the space.
But after he's resuscitated, those lashes are going to stay on.
He's going to feel so alive in all the ways.
Yeah, I guess like how would an online course with Gianna differ from a 6-month course that you can just take?
That's really interesting.
Like, can you imagine like creating such your own standard where people are no longer going to that 6-month course, but they're opting for an online course, maybe a premium for you would travel out there for an in-person session, stuff like that. It's just like, what would you differ? What would you add or take away?
So you've read my mind.
Oh, here we go.
And that's what I've been thinking about. And that's why I've been in these forums and these discussion boards. Yeah. And the biggest complaint is like client retention and dealing with your clients and managing clients and setting boundaries and whatever. And so I wanted to come up with something. I won't say too much.
Yeah, it's whatever you want.
To essentially like give these girls the confidence.
Yeah.
Because they're all like solopreneurs now.
Okay.
So you get out of beauty school. It's 6 months, and then you have a skill.
Oh, wait. Is it beauty school specifically for lashes or in general?
It's in general.
So beauty school is the same thing as esthetician?
Esthetician, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I know, I keep calling it beauty school. It's esthetician school.
Yeah, I never knew. Okay, I didn't know that.
Esthetician school. And so you learn skin, you learn waxing, you learn all the things. And I think only just recently they started incorporating a lash program into their curriculum. So now girls are learning lashes. I think it's like a day class.
So you're kind of like a Jen of all trades. Or a Jill of all trades. Yeah.
Yes. And then you have this skill and you're like, oh, I can do lashes now. And you create an Instagram and then you basically have a business, right? You start taking clients.
Sure.
Then you got to manage all these clients. Then you got to manage your books. Then you got to manage, you know what I mean?
Do they teach you that in school?
They don't teach you any of that.
Oh, and that's something you would include.
That's something I want to include.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like tying back to what you were saying in school where they don't teach certain like life skills that you need to have.
Yeah.
They only teach like the technical stuff.
Yeah. And if in a way that would filter out, this appeal of quick money, right? In the sense of like, this is how much work it takes to actually operate a business.
Exactly. And one of the things I wanted to cover is it's a lot of work and responsibility, but when you understand that, it means that you can control your business. You have so much control over your business.
Yeah, the longer you do this entrepreneur journey, it's just like, it's not as much about the money, but more so this getting your time back. And what you choose, like the ability to choose what you do with your time.
Yes.
Whether that's podcasting on a Monday morning, right? Yeah.
Literally for both of us.
Yeah.
I did block out time for this.
Same. That's what I mean.
We made time for this.
But we don't have to be at a certain place at a certain time to some extent, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I wish school taught more like accounting, finances, taxes, how to navigate LLCs and like what they can do for you, all the benefits, but also how much work actually goes into it. Is there any part of the lash curriculum that you would add if they're only spending a day in esthetician school? Like, there's so much, I'm sure.
Yeah, there would be, and it would. I don't know. There's not a lot of curriculum I would want to include. I think just the main points, which I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to give everything away, but like how to use,
not on here obviously, but like people are going to be paying a premium for this.
Yeah, like how to use your tools.
Okay.
And it's because it's about like empowering these girls, right?
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of them are younger. And if you don't know how to use your tools, that's another thing that people struggle with. Like, oh my God, my lashes are not lasting. If your lashes are not lasting and your clients are coming back in, they're like, hey, all of my lashes, like that's huge.
So there's a certain expectation that they should last for a certain amount of time. And if they're not, that responsibility falls on the artist?
Yes.
Okay.
It's how can you elevate your work so that you can charge these prices? Because if you can charge, whatever your price point is, that will allow you to, you shouldn't have to work more than like 40 hours or whatever they say. Like I had another like lash mentor and she was explaining all this. And if you want to have flexibility with your schedule and be able to take days off, like price your work according to that.
Right.
Like according to how many hours you want to work. But your work also has to reflect that.
Yes.
So you can't just charge these prices and then you're not delivering,
Right.
So it's like all the different ways to be able to deliver. Some of it is application. Retention, like the adhesive is a big one.
Okay.
It's the adhesive.
Okay.
So how do you use your adhesive?
Okay.
Because if you don't know how to use it, and that's when you start to experience problems, and then you can't troubleshoot. You know what I mean? So it's like all of these things that aren't really taught because a lot of it's like the technical stuff.
Yeah. So you're gonna need video for this.
You want to?
I'm just saying you're gonna need video. I'm not saying my videos.
I get it.
I'm just saying you have your own camera. Like you have,
do.
you
Yes.
have, right? So.
I don't know. This is kind of nice.
And you've done, what is that called? Macro photography. Like you've done that.
I have a macro lens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
You have
I would
the setup.
Totally. Yeah. We're
is
working.
This is a relatively quiet job. Is ASMR possible in the lash world?
I hate ASMR.
You hate. Okay.
I hate ASMR. I'm like, can I do it and like not be a part of the like? Okay, I can. Is this ASMR?
That is.
Are they going to hire me for that?
Can identify what that is?
Yeah. So if you're just playing,
you know the last one of the last reels you did, it's just you playing with your POS system. What if you just? I'm sure. Do you have like a handful, if not a dozen, clips of just random BTS?
We're gonna start doing that. I can't give it all away.
Here and
stay tuned.
This is a reframe. That's a reframe because
okay.
whatever you're up to, you're always going to stay steps ahead of people that are trying to copy you.
You're right. So okay.
It's up to you.
I think you're right. No, I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. Yeah. So I'm trying to just figure out how I want to lay everything out, if that makes sense. And that's my own. It was a great reel. Little crippling,
But I guess my point is like something as simple as, right?
And
look
putting
aesthetically your vibe.
Okay, I'm gonna start doing it.
Just more of that.
More of that.
Right? Yeah, more of that.
Yeah.
It's working, and it doesn't sound like client retention is the issue. It's more so good help.
It's good help.
It's because you're in the right neighborhood for everything, right? And I wonder, what's a good demographic to get good help? Is it high school? It's not college. It doesn't have to be college. But what about
Anthony recruiting?
What about your clients maybe with daughters? You
mean to hire on for help?
Yeah, anyone that's wanting to learn. You know, as a high schooler, it's just like you might start thinking about what you want to do, and then you're looking for shadowing opportunities.
Yes, that's what I want to lean into or tap into, and I have to find that. I tried like beauty schools, reaching out to beauty schools.
that or what about beauty adjacent? So in beauty school, if they do hair, if they do skin, what if they got to shadow a lash artist? And you know, something that's adjacent to it.
So that's kind of how I should like
Maybe
shift it to, right? Like an internship.
there could be some overlap. Yeah. And they get exposed to something different, and they might end up liking it or not liking it, but you wouldn't know until you tried. So
Yeah, that's what I need, an intern.
Okay. Now, I guess, like, where would they draw boundaries? What's an intern look like? Is that volunteer based? Is that, you know, is this an intern like someone who wants to do it long term, and they understand that they're getting so much value from you that they're willing to just come through and just shadow?
Yeah, and that's what I struggled with, you know, trying to figure out how to hire an intern, because there is a lot of value, and you would go take a class for lashes, right? Let's say you take a private class outside of esthetician school. You would go for like 2 or 3 days, and they're upwards of like $2,000 for these classes. So that's also what can be frustrating. Like as a business owner, you're hiring these girls and training them, and you're paying them.
Yeah, and you're paying for that school, for that class, the 2 day
No.
class?
Like I'm training them myself. Like as though I were teaching one of these 2 or 3 day classes.
Gotcha. And you're saying you're
and then
giving
I'm
that much
hiring them
value.
on and paying them.
And like it's hard for them to see that value in dollar amount, at least. Yeah.
Yes. So then maybe there's a way to kind of reword it where I'm like, you'll receive X amount of value, and these are all the things that you'll learn, and it'll be that kind of internship. And then it wouldn't be paid.
What if you became known as someone who gave 2-day private lash courses, and you have this standard, this precedent? You've set the precedent of like, my course is this much money. If you intern with me, you are getting this amount of value. So it doesn't have to be told. It's more so shown.
Established.
Like, I've been doing this. I don't know. It's
that's
if you're already thinking about courses. There's a variety of different packages you can probably create. Because I don't think, you know, as much as the online course is more scalable, you know, you create these videos. Anyone around the world can start watching them. You charge a straight up lifetime $50 access, but everyone around the world can everyone imagine 1,000 people paid you $50 lifetime access, and you're constantly updating it. The more you do CEs and con eds, you know, you'll revamp the videos, and you're providing value. But because it's like easily scalable, you're no longer trading time for money on the long term end, which is great. I would probably miss the one-on-one interaction, and so that's, you know, people could pay a premium to get you on a in-person level.
That's what I would like to do, and I would miss that interaction and that like coaching experience.
Right.
So I do enjoy that.
Yeah. I see that. I mean, if you were to give yourself a deadline, what would you do if you were to put just enough pressure to produce the first iteration that you'd be happy with?
You know what? That's a really good.
Right? Because you were talking about the podcast.
Yes, a rough draft. Just get the rough draft out. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's how you get feedback. You know, you're going to put something out there, and you're going to get reactions to it, and then you'll learn, and you just keep pivoting. And that's how growth happens.
Yeah. Like, I'm tired of growing. I don't want to grow anymore.
Man.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good idea. That's what I need to do. I just need to get that rough draft. And I put so much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
You know, and that's me. It's my own thing. But
is there anything else we haven't shared or talked about that you want to update the people on?
Update the people. No.
This is great. I wasn't expecting to talk this long.
I know. I don't even know what time it is. What is it? It's, almost 2 hours.
Yeah, almost 2.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I would say so. Where can people find you physically and socially?
So physically, you want the address?
That's up to you.
The salon. We are at 2936 North Lincoln in Lakeview.
Are you going to put those lashes back up on the...
I don't know. I was going to put them on the inside.
Is that no longer the vibe?
It's no longer the vibe. I was like, I looked at those lashes after like the first year, and I was like, girl, what were you doing? And I did not like them. I did not like them.
What was the impetus to put them on? Were people not knowing what this place was?
No. One of my friends was like, it would be really cool if you got big eyelashes. And I was like, oh my God, duh. Let's do it. And we did it. And it was fun. And everybody's like, oh my God, I know that place. And so it was.
Okay.
But I was just like, there's got to be like a better like monument we can, or a better landmark that we can create. You know, I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll get something else.
Sure. So
but we do have a Rebel Lash blade sign. That
blade
comes
sign?
Off of the,
What is that? What's a blade
it's
sign?
one of those. So if you're walking on the sidewalk, it's like perpendicular to the building. I guess it's
do you have to
called a
pay for
blade.
that too?
Yes.
Oh my God. They
They
want
pay for everything.
Damn.
They're so mean.
Is it's the city or the county?
No, it's wait, do I have to pay for the actual sign? Or are you asking if there's like
anything
a permit?
that's that's what I mean.
Yeah, there's a permit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I pay for the sign, like that's all, because it just depends on what sign you want. So the business obviously is going to pay for the sign itself, but then you have to pay for the permit.
Right.
And then you have to get a sticker for it. I'm just kidding. I'm going to come out there. There's going to be a boot on my sign.
Oh my God. Yeah. Little orange ticket.
A little orange ticket. Oh my God.
Did you ever get your social media back?
No.
Oh,
that's another thing.
Damn it, Instagram.
That, like, I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like, if you want to be a business owner, like, just be prepared. Just fucking cry all day long. All that. Like, what? We had almost, what do we have? 4,500 followers or something?
Yeah.
And that was what I was saying. I'm like, you have to keep up with that and two-factor authenticate. And you have to keep up with it. And I'm like, we could have kept building. And I just felt so discouraged. I was like, I don't even want to post anymore.
Yeah.
But we are. And, you know, it's fine. Whatever. Move on. But it sucked. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not opening up a new spot.
Yeah.
I'm not starting a new Instagram. I was like, you know, going through it. But so
would you still say that at this point it's like word of mouth is the strongest contributor to the success?
You know, I think not really anymore. For me, it's shifted because most of my clients have been coming for so many years. They were all word of mouth. Yeah. And I established like a large part of my books was built on that. And so, and then they move, whatever. So I don't feel like I get a ton of referrals anymore.
Okay.
Up until like recently. And it was like all these clients kind of like left. And then I got new ones that were just in the area that filled up the empty spots. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, okay, so not word of mouth, but maybe is it the walkability of the neighborhood?
It's the walkability too.
I guess another question is like how much of it is coming from social media? Or is social media, unless your goal of social media is just more presence and awareness rather than, bookings?
I think social media for us is like a reminder. It's presence, like a constant presence. I've had clients come in. People do find us through social media. It's also like a showcasing. Yeah. You know, like people can go on there and so many of my clients are like, I want to do this look. Yeah. I'll post a new look or something, or I'll post a new service. Like, you know, and some people are even like, oh, I didn't even know you did this service.
Yeah. I mean, like if you were to think about your pillars, are some of the pillars, so showcases, maybe education, reminders. Is there anything else that I'm missing?
So we have education, we have showcasing, behind the scenes, and we're shifting to that like leadership kind of mentorship coaching role, and that will be another pillar. Okay. But for reminders, it's not really like like an actual reminder, like, hey, we're reminding you. It's just like constantly posting all the time and showing up and that like reliability.
We're here.
We're here all the time.
Yeah.
But I was going to say I had clients that came in years after they heard about me. They're like, oh my God, my friend told me to come to you like 3 years ago and I just never did. But like if you keep posting and people keep seeing your name over and over and over again, like it's
top of mind.
It's going to be top. Yeah. Yep.
Right. Let's just start more. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think also credibility too. Like when we had 4,000 followers, people were like, oh, that place has so many followers. It builds a little bit of.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Maybe if I had 10.
But, social media is finicky, right? So
Yeah.
it's more so like the engagement and stuff like that. And just like, and at some point it is word of mouth. Something as like intimate as lashes, you really, if you know someone that has gotten them before from you and were happy, that's a lot stickier than a social media post. But whatever works.
Hit him from all angles.
Yeah. What do you need to get in line in order to make this online course happen?
Probably Adderall.
No. We're staying away from meth. No meth.
No meth. No. I won't do it.
What do we need?
I don't know what I need. I think I just need to sit down and carve out time and be more intentional about carving out time and being a lot more gracious with myself and just telling myself we're just doing a rough draft.
Yeah.
And a deadline. The deadline is probably going to really...
Yeah. Imagine the payoff, though.
Pressure.
Like, if you can crank out, like, come up with curriculum, film the curriculum, edit the curriculum, and it's out there. And then now you're sitting and get feedback. Open it up to, what they call it pre-something, like,
Yes.
at a discounted rate, get it in but then you get immediate feedback, beta testing, and you get immediate feedback, and then you can make another iteration after that. But once you have an iteration you're happy with, I don't know if passive is the right word, but you're also having an impact at a scale that is more than Chicago.
I think, honestly, that's also part of what's holding me back is like, I want it to be meaningful.
Is anyone else doing it right now?
No.
Oh,
no one's
God.
doing what the course that I am designing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anywhere else.
And that's where that time is of the essence comes from. It's a balance of that versus you want to do it right.
Yes, that's true. And that's what I was saying. I'm like, I want it to be meaningful. So I keep doing all this research and I like journal and brainstorm and just, I'm like, I want to make sure. The other thing too is like, I want to put everything that I know in this course and give everybody everything that they could possibly need. Yeah. But I'm like, is that too much? I'm like overwhelming myself.
What's enough? Only you can answer that question. And I think you start with something that you're happy with and then allow the feedback to kind of steer in a way. Right?
God, yeah.
Well, if you need an accountability buddy, let me know.
Done. Where do I sign? For real. Like, we're going to set another date and it's going to be a check-in.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
So then what's the new social media handle on Rebel Lash?
We still got the name back, which was nice because they've changed it to whatever. Rebel Lash and Brow.
Okay, but no underscore or anything?
No underscore.
Oh, because it was for a minute.
It was that for a minute because they still had the other handle. We got our handle
back.
back.
What did they change it to? Are you like, why would they? What?
It was like, pay me my ransom money. I don't remember.
What an idiot.
They were so mean. They went
and
deleted.
Were talking to you?
Okay, here's what happened.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And this is what they do. They hack your page and then they put in the page description, like call this number if you want your page back. And then I messaged them on WhatsApp because I was like, oh, maybe I can like be no, I can't be detective.
Oh no.
And they were like, oh yeah, give us $100. And I was like, dude, what if I send them $100? And they're like, send me 100 more.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, dude,
trust?
forget it.
Yeah.
So they went in and they like deleted all of my photos and they changed the handle.
Well, what if they started like impersonating you, like that? Ugh.
Yeah.
It could have been worse, I think.
It could have been worse for sure. And I think that they were just like low-level scammers trying to see who they could get to send them $100.
For sure.
Venmo them $100. God
damn.
So,
okay.
Fine. Yeah,
Rebel
yeah.
Lash. I gotcha.
Rebel Lash and Brow.
Yeah, Rebel Lash and Brow.
Rebel Lash and Brow.
All right. Well,
on Insta.
Gianna, it was a pleasure.
Victor. Yep, it was great.
Till next time, everyone, stay curious.